Hello. Beep, 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 beep. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How are we, everybody? Right, I sat and watched this morning, this AM. I sat and watched President Trump amidst a group of young people and children and various others, including Riley Gaines, sign into law that men can stay out of women's sports. And I got a bit tearful, and I think many of you will too. But I still see that there are some that are not going to give him credit for doing it. I don't know what the hell's going on, but they're doing all the right things. And you know as well as I do that there's concerns about what else they're going to do, and those are valid concerns. But it's a different issue. We fight for what we need to win, and this is one of them. I'll be amazed to see whether or not the Labour Party in Britain will follow up by doing the same thing. It's not going to happen, is it? But I think that people that support the Labour Party, which is what this is right now, this is the left, by the way. Stop messing about. This is the left. Harkening back to the halcyon days of a left that no longer exists isn't going to help anyone. This is the left. And as far as I'm concerned, they're a clear and present danger. If it was the right causing the problem, I'd be saying the same thing about them. And I'm sure in the next 18 months, 2 years, I will be. Right, so I've got an example here of something that I think is thoroughly egregious and actually an indicator of what's about to come if we don't get our head together. And that's going to be the biggest problem of all. We need to get our head together around what's going on, because I think bigger things are afoot that are going to influence tremendously the work of the GC movement and the likes of Sex Matters, of Kenny J. Keane, Transgender Trend, and any other organisation that has been involved, and individual for that matter, in this absolute horrific battle we find ourselves in. But before that, I would like to thank Tribunal Tweets for their excellent coverage of the case currently going on in regards to this LARPing great bloke who thinks he's a woman, is pretending to be a woman and practicing as a doctor, which I think is something that should not be allowed to happen. So I would like to draw your attention to this before we do anything else, because I think this is a very important one that may have gone under the radar of some of us who are involved in other things or whose focus is not on this type of occurrence, because I think it indicates a number of things that are wrong that are going to affect us in the future. Now, there's a former Manchester United apprentice and Royal Marine, as you can see here, a decorated man, has been cleared of stirring up racial hatred after posting a Facebook video about the risk posed to the UK by unchecked illegal immigration. Jamie Michael, a Free Speech Union member from Benygrig, Rhondda Cynon Taff. I hope it's Welsh. Nope. I'll say it again, then you can tell me off afterwards. Pennycraig Rhondda Cynon Taff, I love the Welsh accent, was unanimously acquitted by a jury at Merthyr Tydfil Crown Court in just 17 minutes. 17 minutes it took for them to go, yeah, you can off. 17 minutes. The FSU paid Michael's legal fees, the Free Speech Union, which if you're not a member of, you need to be. I love it. There are some in the GC movement who are members of these crappy Unison movement. Unison, that's a union, isn't it? Unison, what are the other ones? There's loads of them. And most of them are shite when it comes to women's rights, but they're not members of the Free Speech Union. If you're a GC person and you're not a member of the Free Speech Union, you are deranged. Sort it out, love. Now, Michael was then represented by the marvellous Luke Gittos and barrister Adam King. Michaels, 46, had been charged with publishing threatening material with intent to stir up racial hatred. In reality, a Facebook video. The 12-minute video in which he urged people to stage peaceful protests about illegal immigration was posted in the wake of the Southport murders. Prosecutors claimed his language was unrelentingly negative towards migrants. And so what? But his defence made clear that his words were directed at Southport killer Axel Rudakubana and illegal, unchecked or radicalised immigrants. The case has been sparked after a member of staff from the Office of Welsh Labour, Miss Buffy Williams. I wonder if Buffy's also, I'm not going to say it. I wonder if she supports, you know what, and it's, Just. Buffy is an elected member of the Senate, reported the video to the police. Make no bones about it. This dobbing you into mummy, which is exactly what she did, is a feature of the Labour Party. It is a feature of the leftist mindset. It is not a bug. It is not a bug. You empower this, and I'll come to that in a minute. You empower this, and this kind of thing will happen all the time. Going sneering to teacher because they don't like what somebody's said. Buffy bloody Williams, an elected member of the Senate, reported the video to the police. Michaels was arrested and remanded in custody. What for? What for? This is the misuse of the law, the misuse of the police by Labour. Although he was later let out on tag while awaiting trial, it later emerged that he was prosecuted by the Special Crime and Counter-Terrorism Division of the Crown Prosecution Service. They've lost their bloody minds. They've lost their minds. A legitimate complaint, a legitimate issue upon which to campaign is how we deal with illegal, unchecked, radicalised immigration. That is a perfectly legitimate conversation to have. It's a perfectly legitimate thing to bring up. But no, we get the Special Crime and Counter-Terrorism Division of the Crown Prosecution Service. And this, mark my words, is just the beginning. It's just the beginning. This is a shot across the bows of what's coming. How long do you think it will take before it's used against GC folk? How long do you think it will take before they start arresting the women? How long? If Islamophobia makes it onto the books, you'll see plenty of this. You'll see plenty of it. And closely followed by that will be transphobia. Then you'll see even more. And I still think that there is a portion of the GC world that is so left and so has such a blind faith in the left that they will arrest you and put you on trial and you'll still vote for them. Taking the stand in his defence, Michael denied being racist, but admitted his language had been clumsy in the emotional aftermath of the Southport attack. As a parent, I felt gut-wrenched, he told the court. I wanted to get some kind of security measures in place for our children. It is extraordinary to me. Even if the language is clumsy, he doesn't have to admit anything. We should not be putting people in prison for what they say. He didn't incite anything. The court heard that Michaels had been an apprentice footballer with Manchester United, Oxford United and Cardiff City before joining the Royal Marines, serving in Iraq in 2003 and later working in private security in Iraq and Afghanistan. Everyone at the FSU is delighted by Jamie's acquittal. The decision to prosecute him was an attack on free speech, and damn right it was. An attack on free speech. That, if we're not careful, will be supported by the GC left. If they cannot let go of their allegiance. Jamie had urged people to protest peacefully, yet found himself facing the prospect of imprisonment for expressing views that, however objectionable to some Welsh Labour politicians, were awful. This needs condemnation from the highest ranks of the GC movement. Whatever you want to call it. The GC movement. I like the GC rumbling. Let's all have a mumble and a rumble. Before trial, Solicitor Luke Gittos wrote to the Crown Prosecution Service calling for the case to be dropped. Unfortunately, this plea fell on deaf ears, even though the jury reached a verdict in less time than it took to hear the prosecution's opening arguments. What the hell's going on at the Crown Prosecution Service? This was an ideological prosecution. An ideological prosecution from a behemoth left who thinks that the important arm of the state supersedes the important freedom of the individual. That is the left in a nutshell. It remains a matter of concern that Michael was prosecuted at the urging of a politician. The staffer in question was a Labour councillor. The authorities should have resisted this political pressure, given the time and resources wasted on this case. People should not face criminal charges for expressing lawful opinions, regardless of how distasteful those in power find them. Michael's swift acquittal also raises broader questions. If the dozens of people arrested and charged over social media comments last August had pleaded not guilty, how many of them would not now be in jail? We urge anyone who's concerned they might be arrested in connection with somebody who's said on social media to join the FSU. I echo that. Do it. We can provide you with proper legal advice, and if we think your case has merit, arrange and pay for your legal defence, as we did in this case. No one should go to prison for hurty words. And there's a link there if you want to join. In the next few months, you're going to see a regulator come online, which is going to be run by Ofcom. You think this is rare? Get used to it. Your son, your daughter, your husband, your mother, your father, you, your wife. All of us will be at risk until we remove the clasping, rancid hand of the state from the internet, until we remove censorship as an option, until we remove every single control measure that a government that is just simply a toxic parent would like to impose upon us. And I don't care which side of the fence you come from. If you do not yet realise that the fights of right and left of yesteryear are over, and that the fight is now, you're either orientated towards freedom or you're orientated towards slavery, which is it going to be? Because this man appearing in court is an example of slavery. This is essentially putting somebody in the docks. That's what it is. And we need to wake up and understand that, because we are, I think, going to be seeing more and more of this, and very likely more and more censorship across the board. And my concern is that often it's people who are in our movement, on our side of the game, who are orientated towards the safety of women and children and towards reality and science. It is people on our side who are happy to clap that censorship along. That, I think, must stop. But I will, of course, look forward to hearing what you've got to say about that, and whether you think I'm just a whinging blowhard. There you are. I've given you the 2 words now. You can stick it in the comments. Just put whinging blowhard if you think I don't know what I'm talking about. I don't mind. But nevertheless, you go and have some fun. I'm meeting the Women's Network this week. I'm very excited about that. So looking forward to seeing them, and lunch with a couple of friends, and then teaching. Bring on the warrior teachers. Come and join us. We're having a great time. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.